All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 360 Sports Show, coming to you live at our new time, Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Going to be testing this out here for the fall, at least for football season, giving you a little Monday afternoon, evening quarterbacking, and getting you ready for Monday Night Football once the NFL season gets underway. So for tonight, though, we'll have some preseason games to talk about, some NBA and MLB news as well. I am Ada Pizzelli, waiting diligently for Christian Lauber. It has been a day. Normally, I say Monday night. I'm just stuck in my head. It is Tuesday night. We will be coming to you live normally on Monday nights, but because of Hurricane Henri, we were not able to broadcast yesterday, so we were broadcasting to you tonight. But hopefully, no more hurricanes on the way, so we should be available next Monday night at our new regularly scheduled time. You can reach us anytime during the show, during the live show, in the chat of the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. And if you want, you can also always email the show, the360sportshow@gmail.com at any time throughout the week. I know we have a lot of podcast listeners, so thank you for finding us there. We're available on Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. So if you are a podcast listener and you want to contribute to the shows when we're live, you can email the show, and we will get to those during our mailbag segment. So as I said, waiting on Christian. It's been a weekend of technical difficulties, power outages, and no cell service. So that's why we're a day late here. We will be on Monday nights, but I will try and start. Hopefully Christian's able to jump in here sometime soon. I think he had to restart his computer. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I know he'll be able to jump in with this, we'll start with some NFL things and the preseason games. And, you know, you always have to take preseason games with a grain of salt because there's just so many variables. Who's the guy out there with? What kind of reps has he been getting? Who is he playing against? So it's hard to always get a true beat on, say, a quarterback because you might say, hey, he's out there with the second team. Or he's out there with, you know, the second string offensive lineman. Or he looks really good. Well, he's playing against the third stringers on the other side. But there are some things you can pick up, tendencies, and a lot of talk today. It works out that we're coming to you live on a Tuesday here instead of on Monday. Was last night we got to see Trevor Lawrence again. And I got to say, not all that impressive. I think you see flashes of the talent. You see flashes of the arm talent that's there, his physical ability. But as Shannon said today on Undisputed, this ain't Clemson anymore. Every single guy you're playing with on that field and playing against on every other team is an NFL player. You know, playing in the SEC, one of the best conferences in college football. You know, there are NFL players, level talent sprinkled throughout all of those opponents. But as Urban Meyer said this week, every week's Alabama. So he's going to have struggled. Everybody it's very rare to see guys come in and just take off as rookie quarterbacks. That being said, you do want to see him look a little bit better. As Colin points out in the comment section, his offensive line sucks, which it did. And I saw tendencies, a lot of that kind of Baker Mayfield drifting back, slow to make some reads, making some bad decisions where maybe in college he could squeeze that ball in there. Now the coverage is a lot tighter. So all those things that are those adjustments to the league, you're expecting to see. I don't think anybody expected Trevor Lawrence to come in and just light it up all of a sudden. Maybe Jaguars fans were hopeful for that. But he's going to, as Colin says again, he's going to get jacked up all season long. Yeah, he's going to get a lot of hits. Christian, I'm bringing you in here. Christian is ready to roll. So as I bring in Christian here, the question to the internet, to those viewing, and to Christian here, welcome to the show, Christian. Glad to have you back.
Hey.
The question, should Trevor Lawrence start this year? He's going to have a terrible offensive line. okay-ish weapons, is it better for him to go through the ringer and suffer physically, but learn the lessons of how to play in the NFL? Or should he be given that kind of that 1 year to sit, like we've seen a lot of guys have opted for? We're not going to see Trey Lance this year, we don't think. We didn't see Patrick Mahomes much his first year. Those guys all benefited from that. Knowing what we know about this Jaguars roster, is it a benefit to them? It's tough. It's the number one pick, the savior. Should they play him or should they protect him?
It's a fair question. Well, first of all, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I hear you loud and
All
clear.
right. Yeah, it's a fair question. I'm a little off here now, but I mean, look, I think the Jaguars suck as a whole, as I expected. Their offensive line he's going to get killed. I mean, he's just like, there's been a number of times already in the preseason. We're not even to week 1 yet, and I feel like he's just going to get hurt. So it's a fair question. Even maybe hold him out half the year or something, or they have to get an offensive line. Same deal in Cincinnati. You can't let these number one picks
Exactly.
like just sit back there and just get crushed all year long. So, and we saw what happened to Burrow, obviously. So it's a fair question. And I think, do they still have Minshew? I mean, I think he'd be fine for a year, or whatever they have. Who cares? Get that offensive line right. I still question whether the coach can do it in the NFL as well. But yeah. I would. I'm not as much of this person that's like, okay, number one pick, you got to play him. So if they want to hold him out for weeks and kind of let him live for longer than a year in the NFL, we've seen guys go out quick. I would seriously consider it. I would, at least maybe half the year, 10 games, something like that, and just get him some reps late in the year. Maybe you sign Tim Tebow again to a quarterback position, and then Lawrence sits behind him. But I don't know. It's a fair question. It's something to think about for them.
For them, I think it comes down to what you know about the player. You got to read everything. Every situation is different. I don't think you can just say, "Hey, draft the guy." And he's the guy, but don't play him. Like, we're just going to stand. I think it depends on who the guy is. Trevor Lawrence has experienced nothing but success, right? He's had it easy the whole way. Didn't lose like a game, high school or college, until 2 years ago, against in the national championship. So it's like, on one hand, the adversity probably would be good for him, right? To experience and go through. But on the other hand, we don't know how he'd handle that adversity. Is it better for him to go through a 3-14 season and suck and get banged up and hurt? Does that help your team in the long run if that's what happens? If you think he's mentally tough enough to experience, look at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions. I think he set the rookie mark for picks.
Yeah.
In his first year. And he had Marvin Harrison and Marshall Faulk. And he's got Hall of Famers. And he still struggled.
Reggie Wayne on that team too, no? Or is that
I think he came in 2002, I think.
Probably right. Yeah.
Not his rookie year. Because I think he was drafted in 98, right? No, 2000? I don't.
Either way, Marvin Harrison's still a pretty good player.
Long time ago. Peyton still remembers. Oh, he wishes he could throw that way. But even he struggled. I mean, Troy Aikman struggled. It's going way, way back. I mean, rookie quarterbacks don't always just come in and it's like, they're a superstar. Every now and again, there are those guys that are aberrations. Almost because they don't have the expectation, right? Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, right? These guys come in. Nobody's expecting a lot from them. But they are expecting a lot of themselves. And they fight and they overachieve. And then they take their place. Number one overall pick, a lot of pressure. I don't know. I don't know what the mental makeup of Trevor Lawrence is. We talked about this with Brad Kelly. He doesn't see it as like he's worried about it, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on. And I'd say the physical nature of the game. If you're going to have an offensive line and he's getting pummeled like that, does he want that contact? I mean, going back to the playoffs last year and the year before, I mean, you see him, he doesn't like... I don't think not that anybody quarterback likes contact, but I definitely think he shies away from the rush. You see him bail out of plays backwards, which is the big bugaboo in the NFL. You can't do that. In college, you can get away with that. You can go backwards and out and up. Not in the NFL. Everybody's fast in the NFL, and that's what got Baker Mayfield in trouble a lot his rookie year. He had a pretty good rookie year, but it took him a couple of years to get out of that drifting backwards thing and trying to throw. Hey, step up and through the pocket. I don't know. It'll be worth keeping an eye on because, oh my gosh. I mean, talk about consensus #1 overall pick for the most part. And the guy's got all the talent in the world. But you got to have a real good idea of his head, what's going to be better for him. Because if you screw it up, you just screwed up another. You're not often going to have a shot at a guy like that.
Well, that's your franchise, right? So, pretty much. I mean, how long has it been since they had a quarterback?
Never.
Forever? Yeah. So, like, this is the
David
guy.
Garrard, best quarterback in Jaguars history. David Garrard.
Maybe. That's not a great one. I think Lawrence has, like you just mentioned, he has all the potential. Just a matter of, is he going to make it past year 1, year 2, year 3? I mean, it's like you got to surround him with some talent, #1, and the coaching. I still have question marks about that. So I will say, like, he's not going to come in and light the world on fire like everybody thinks based on the team around him. I said this from day one. Like, the wide receivers are fine, I guess, but the O-line is the most important part there for them, and they don't have it.
Yeah. And adjusting to a lot of guys aren't doing pro-style offenses even in the pros anymore, but, I mean, getting used to being under center and play faking and a lot of that footwork and, work with the ball and the play action and stuff. I mean, all these guys, they came out of college and they just stand there, hike, and that's it. One read, hey, a guy's open by 20 yards, whee! Now you see, I mean, last night, plenty of times, he actually makes a nice roll out of the pocket and delivers a ball like on the run, on a dime, 40 yards downfield. It was broken up, but you see the ability. It's there. Right. I don't think anybody ever doubted, oh, no, he can't be an NFL quarterback. He can be an NFL quarterback. Can Meyer coach him to be an NFL quarterback? And is he going to be okay, really struggling to start? We'll have to see. I have to keep an eye on it. And I guess to a larger point, of all the rookie quarterbacks, because it has the potential to be because there's so many of them are getting opportunity, one of the best rookie quarterback classes ever. I'd say that's not going to happen. From all I've seen so far, the guys who are going to play, we don't expect to see Trey Lance. We will get into this. We want to, but don't expect to see Mac Jones. We're going to see Zach Wilson. We're going to see Trevor Lawrence. We're going to see Justin Fields, right? I mean...
Well, according to Andy Dalton, no. This is Andy Dalton's time.
I think at some point we'll see Justin Fields, and I think Fields, of all the guys I've seen so far in preseason, looks the most ready.
Oh, really? I disagree. I think Zach Wilson does.
You think? But it's the Jets. I feel like that's another case of a guy who's going to get... He's not going to last a year.
But in terms of the look of it, like
defensive-minded head coach, is it just going to? Are they just going to turn him into Mark Sanchez
and fumble off someone's butt? No. Look, I think he so far has been the most impressive. I'll say that. Now it is the Jets, so again, do they have the O-line? Do they have the weapons around them? They have some decent weapons, but those are all question marks. And also, I don't know how good their defense is. It's, or overall how good the team is. It's the Jets. We're expected to see them go win 5 games, but still, he's been the most impressive, at least in preseason. It's still way early, but I thought Lawrence was the one that was going to light the world on fire. I thought Wilson's been more impressive.
Yeah. So let's talk about Mac Jones because he's in this group. Cam Newton is unavailable for 5 days because of some misinterpretation with the COVID protocols and testing, and even though he was tested every day, he now is unavailable to the team because of a misunderstanding. What I want to know is this the team's fault or is this Cam's fault? Is it both? And in a way, I really think this is the best possible thing for Bill Belichick, and that's what makes me think somehow it's engineered. The conspiracies. Because now with Cam being sideline. Now, he can be back in time to take some reps and be ready to play in this preseason game, but the way Belichick always prepares things, it's like, hey, if you can't practice, you're not starting. You might not play Malcolm Butler. So, and that's a Super Bowl. I think now he has the perfect situation. He can rep Mac Jones with the first team. He can say, Mac is starting this week. Cam couldn't get the reps. Mac is starting. And then get a real good look at Mac. All the while planning to just go back to Cam, unless Mac looks unreal. And when people get the questions like, why did Mac start last week and you're not going to consider him the starter? Well, Cam's our starter. I mean, it was that situation was what it was. And he has the perfect out. He can have his cake and eat it too. He can do all the tinkering he wants without having to deal with the consequences in the media. It's perfect. It's perfect for him. And I think for the team. I want Mac to light it up because I don't think he's long for the team.
Well, he's got an important day tomorrow. If you're rooting for Mac Jones, tomorrow's the day because Newton comes back on Thursday, I believe. So tomorrow is joint practice with the Giants, first day, and he's going to get pretty much all the reps. He has been. The Brian Hoyer is kind of like on the outs, right? He's number 3, clearly far and away. And Stidham's
coaching pads.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's going to be a big day for Jones tomorrow. I still think Cam is the starter to start the year. I don't even think there was ever a doubt that was going to be the case, and whether he goes out and maybe he gets COVID midway through the year again, who the hell knows? I'm not buying that they don't understand the protocols after last year, and then in this year is a little bit different, I guess, but I'm not really buying that. Someone effed up. I don't know if it was Cam, but he did it last year too. So he was out for 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So again, I'm sorry, but your starting quarterback, if he's not going to be on the field, somebody else is going to get a chance. That's just the way it works. So you got to be out there. I know it's 5 days. It's 3 days of practice, maybe something like that. But still, the excuses last year were he had COVID. He couldn't get back on the field. He was, doing Zoom meetings and all this, and he got behind. Well, now what's your excuse on this one? He's obviously not vaccinated, which is his choice. But again, are you going to be week 3 rolling here, week 4, week 5, week 6? You're going to be 5-1, and then he's going to go down with COVID or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah,
these are now the questions.
And that's the point. Is that I think if Bill, I personally, we'll talk about the game a little bit. I liked what I saw from Cam. Again, he's done nothing to lose his starting job. He hasn't gone out there and looked like he did last year or worse. He's done nothing. If he's been named a starter, he's done nothing to lose. I think Mac has gradually built himself up.
I'll tell you, I don't think there's a big difference between the two.
I really don't either. And I think, though, I would have wanted to, hey, give Mac a chance to start this week. Let him rep as a starter. Let's get a look at him. Let's see how he looks. But then, there'll be all the questions. Well, is Mac going to be the starter? Is Mac starting week 1? Why? Cam, who's starting? Blah, 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 blah. And because of this whole situation now, Bill can do that and then just say, and not have to even take those questions. Well, Cam's starting. I mean, he wasn't available last week. That's why he didn't start. It is what it is.
Well, Bill's going to be a dick either way, but still, the point stands that Cam, I feel like is still number 1, but I also don't feel like he's far and away the best option.
Yeah, until we see live it's tough to gauge it in a preseason game because we're not seeing them run things they want to run. We're not seeing him run physically, and what allegedly a 100% healthy Cam Newton offense will look like.
I thought he looked good the other night. I mean, he was 9 of 10, and it's not one of those 9 of 10s where he's just kind of checking down all night.
The ball still looks so labored coming out of his hand.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It looks more aesthetically pleasing when Mac Jones is running the offense. I'll just say that. He's running against twos and backups, whatever you can say, but he can still zip the ball in there. He had some tight windows there again.
A little more pocket presence.
A little bit, yeah. I think he's already got some of the playbook down. He's running the 2-minute offense better than Newton did all last year. So things like that, it just looks better. And I feel like Jones kind of runs the offense pretty well at this stage already. So again, I'm not saying he needs to be in there week 1. I just feel like he's probably not ready, but also like I just can't watch. If it's going to be like last year, I just can't watch.
What are you going to
17
do,
minutes.
Christian, when Cam struggles and instead of bringing in Mac, they bring in Brian Hoyer? What are you going to do?
Wait for Brian Hoyer to puke on himself, and Jones is going to get in there one way or another. Maybe Hoyer will go down to before halftime and take a sack again.
Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, maybe it's just 20 years of watching a guy like Tom Brady operate. It just looks more fluid. It looks natural. There's just something about the way Cam throws the ball. It looks painful.
Yeah.
And the ball's coming out at this like downward like angle. I feel like every time he completes a pass, it's like the guy's got to like grab it out of his waist or he's catching it like right here, and it's never in stride. A guy's always falling down, making.
Oh, he had a good one to Myers the other day.
That was one. A good little crossing route that it's more Myers than Cam.
Myers is good. Yeah, he's a good player.
I like good football players, Christian.
Yeah, sure you do. Newton throws like a 12-6 fastball. Normally you see like a 12-6 curve. He throws like a fastball that starts like up top and just like it's just an awkward looking thing. I mean, to be fair, this offense was built for a guy like Mac Jones. You know what I mean? So there's a reason he looks like pretty comfortable. I think he's like already up to speed. He was the guy coming out that Sims and all these guys had as, he's ready. He could be ready week 1. And I think you see some of that.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to see how things play out as far as the vaccination status of guys, because it's going to be obvious throughout the year. I mean, now, like, you see, like, hey, if a guy's wearing a mask, is he just wearing a mask because he's being cautious still, or is he not vaccinated?
Right.
You're going to know when guys miss time. I mean, how long before Cole Beasley? He's missing time right now. He's missing 5 days because he's the close contact of somebody who tested positive. Right. You open yourself up to all of that now. So he's gonna
live his life.
Which is fair, fine by him. But in a business, you wonder how long NFL coaches will want to put up with guys who can't be available. And they tried to ask Bill this question today. It's like, hey, last year it was what it was. This year, the vaccine can, one, prevent guys from even catching it, or guys getting seriously sick, like just in their own personal interest, your personal interest of the players. And you don't have to worry about, oh, so-and-so's third cousin got it, and so now they can't practice. Availability is the most important thing. How long before teams start to say, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And maybe not with star players. Not that Cole Beasley is a superstar, but he's an important piece for them. But hey, the back end of the roster, hey, these two guys are kind of even. This guy's vaccinated. We're going to keep him.
Oh, yeah. No, 100% that's going on.
It's going to happen. And
that's ultimately the better decision based on the protocols and everything for your team, for your business, whatever, however you want to call it. I mean, that's just, unfortunately, that's the world we live in right now. So if you have two guys on the practice squad and one's about to make the team, one's not, oh, well, he's going to make the team because he's vaccinated. I feel like that's the kind of the obvious choice for coaches to make at this stage because the rules are completely shifted towards vaccinated players and coaches.
Yeah. And that was the point. They wanted to make it difficult on guys who didn't want to get vaccinated. Now, Devin McCourty and Matthew Slater made a video, like an informative and informational video about the vaccine and awareness, which I think that's huge because a lot of the hesitancy is just from a lack of information. And the more guys, especially two guys like that, I mean, well-respected veterans that definitely carry weight. They're the types of guys. They talk, people listen.
Been here a long time, leaders, good in the community. I mean, it's just total pros, the two of them.
Yeah. Hall of Famers on and off the field. Yeah. So if those guys are doing stuff like that, more players step up and do that. Hopefully you see more of these guys. Because aside from caring about like just, I want to make sure this player's, it's just for their own safety and well-being. I mean, it's all the stuff we saw. Look at the scare with Eduardo Rodriguez last year, with the
Yeah.
heart stuff. I mean, it's like that's why most of these guys sat out. A guy like Dante Hightower didn't play last year out of concerns. Now he's back. I'm going to assume he's vaccinated. I don't know if he said, but I'm going to assume that he is. I mean, because all of those same concerns still exist, I'd imagine the only reason he's back is because he's vaccinated, not just because he's bored from not playing football for a year.
Yeah, I would assume that as well. Individual players are not like announcing it, I guess, right? So we'll find out one way or another probably throughout the season if guys go, up and down, mask wearing, all that stuff. But I would assume just based on his concerns last year for his safety, his family safety, everything like that, I would assume he probably would be.
Yeah. If you have any other thoughts or questions while we're live here, live on a Tuesday evening. Our new time is Mondays at 7:30 for the live show. Hurricane Henri had a little something to say about that. Did not have any power, so can't do a show with no power. But if you have any thoughts or questions about anything we're discussing and you want to drop it and engage with us, you can drop a question in the chat of the live streams through Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, or Twitch, and you can always email the 360 Sports Show at gmail.com at any time. I want to talk about the NBA, Christian, unless you had any other NFL thoughts before we transition.
The NBA, huh?
I do. I want to talk about the NBA.
I can't wait for football season to start.
I can't either. I mean, I'm excited.
I'm ready now, but
I know, last year we were doing the shows on Sundays, which was fun because we're picking the games and prepping for it, and then right on into the games. But now it's just going to be wake up, sit, absorb all of the football, and then come in on Mondays and just complain.
yeah. I mean, that's pretty accurate unless there's, the Monday night game, but we'll give you some nice pregame talk.
Some pregame talk. Do you do fantasy football?
Not really anymore, no.
I got my draft coming up in, I think, this coming Friday. I got to get ready for that. Last year, I almost didn't even care. I was like, there's not going to be a season.
Yeah.
I did not think we would get through 16 games and postseason and everything else.
Who did?
And they did. And so, they will this year for sure.
You got to improve your pick'ems this year, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't really get any worse. I mean, it's just like...
yeah. I mean, there was a lot of weeks I was like, what was it? I kept picking the Jets. I kept thinking all right, this is the week. And it was always so close. It was always so close. There was one week, they had the against the Raiders.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that game too. Yep.
Let's all out blitz on a Hail Mary play. What are you doing?
This is why you don't pick the Jets.
I know. Hey,
you've learned.
But I knew you would never pick the Jets. I had to make up ground somehow, wherever you could. I was a desperate man. Only a desperate man picks the Jets.
Live and die by the Jets is not a motto you should go by.
No, you won't live long by that motto.
No.
Man. So yeah, I agree. I can't wait for it. And just hopefully, friends who are, comfortable. A little bit more of that normally, hey, come over on Sunday. Hey, bring the chicken wings. Oh, fire up the grill. Sit around. Watch the game.
Yeah.
It'll be good. Cleanse the soul. The soul needs that. The soul needs fried food and beer.
Beer,
right?
pizza, wings. Yeah, you name it.
Yeah. So, all right. NBA discussion here.
Top
real
5
quick.
cereals. Real quick. Let's go.
Real quick. So, again, the Celtics made a couple of moves this week. They extended Robert Williams, 4-year deal for him, and they offered an extension to Jason Richardson. Josh Richardson. Sorry, Josh Richardson. He's got a 2-year deal. He was here on a 1-year deal. Now it's up to a 2-year deal. And I know you have this. You're like, whoopee. I think all these moves that Brad has made are just another example indicative that he is not Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge would never, ever, ever make these kinds of moves because Danny is always like, he's got all the cards and he's like, okay, I got that card I got this card, and I'm gonna keep them all right here. And here's I got another card. Ooh, I like that card. Let me put this one in here. Ooh, and he's just that guy who just keeps collecting the cards and just keeps putting things and collecting, and then the game's over. I didn't play anything. That honestly was Danny Ainge towards the end. I think, he made it obviously. Hey, bringing in the big three in 2008, awesome, right? Shipping the big three out early and getting Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown out of that, awesome. I think after that, there was a little too much hoarding and a little bit too much trying to like re-justify moves. It's like you went in, you did fire a shot for Kyrie. It didn't work. And instead of just trying to just say, let's just forget about that, it was like, well, let's go sign Kemba. But then we're going to pour all this money into Kemba. And so our bench unit will be second-round draft picks. And we're not going to, and then I'm going to hoard other picks and not try and move up or negotiate or get mid-level guys. What's the first thing Brad's done? I mean, you already see this roster is way more of a veteran roster than they've had in the last 3 or 4 years. And they're giving guys extensions because I know you want the big fish, Christian, but teams don't actually want crap for good players. To get good players. You're
speaking my language, but in years past, you wanted to take our crap and give it away.
Well, there was, I think you could have.
I'm sorry, you wanted to keep our crap instead of giving it away.
I never said keep the crap. I said if you're stuck with the crap, there's ways you could be playing it better. Or you could certainly consolidate the crap, right?
Consolidate the crap is a good way to put it.
Yes. Is this 2-year deal? All these deals, though. Marcus Smart, Richardson, Time Lord, all of them. What do? These guys now can play this year free of thinking about their averages, trying to worry about the contract, right? Marcus Smart, maybe not thinking, hey, contract year, like, I know I want to be here, but, what if I'm not? I don't want to wind up like Dennis Schroeder. Should I try to, like, score more? Make my value? Mm-hmm. You've got an extension. You're here. Worry about being the best point guard for this team, right? Same with Richardson. Same with Time Lord. And the thing is, all these contracts are very tradable. So you've kept these guys now, and if you keep them and you're just building this nucleus, that's great. If you want to put these guys together and ship them out for Bradley Beal next year with a boatload of picks, that's possible too. Because, like, the Wizards aren't going to want Marcus Smart, Time Lord, and Richardson all on expiring contracts and draft picks. What good does that do? So I think of it in terms of these are just the contracts for the teams that may want these guys. So very on Danny Ainge like, because a lot of those moves would never have been done and weren't done ever. You didn't see him do this with guys ever. So I think Brad seems much more willing to play the game. I think Danny towards the end was just holding all his cards and then never making a move. And so now we got a guy that's going to play the game. Now we'll find out. Trade deadlines come next offseason. Hey, Brad, you actually have cash, to go out. And now you got to really start. You're not just trying to clean up house. You got to start going and making things happen now. We'll see how that plays out. But for now, I think the way he's reorganized things and set them up, they went from having like a total crap show of a cap sheet to they literally could overhaul this entire team overnight. A+. Brad is killing it. Go ahead, tell me your pieces.
Nobody gets an A+, but A-. No, I agree for the most part on the Danny Ainge part of it, because I think he got caught with his pants down multiple times where he's drafting all these guys and then they don't do anything or they don't produce, and then Brad's calling you out in the middle of the season against the Chicago freaking Bulls, saying your roster stinks. So he's obviously making moves cater to what he thinks they need. I think most of them, for the most part, they're fine. The contracts, I guess, are okay. Again, Time Lord, he's got to stay on the floor in order to be tradable contract now, which he can't seem to do. And Smart is another one that I thought maybe should be traded a year ago, but who the hell knows? He's now here. Time Lord's here. And here you go. I mean, they have a better roster than they did a year ago. There's no question about that. And there could be another move coming. Who knows? But between Chris Dunn, Schroeder, Richardson. They have a backcourt now that can play,
Yeah.
which is a big difference. So I like most of the moves that he's done. The contracts are I'm a little like on. I'm not as high on that as you are maybe, but um overall he's done a nice job at least in the initial stages here of trying to build a team. He's been more effective than Ainge has been. Instead of having 18 guys on the bottom of the roster, now you have some players that can actually produce and be on the court rather than on the bench or in main.
Yeah.
He
I
gets a
agree.
B.
A B.
A B.
What would be an A? What would have needed to happen for an A?
He's not.
Securing good NBA players on below market contracts is not an A. All these other teams are dropping like 180 for guys like Tyler Hero,
Me in the
Duncan
middle.
Robinson.
He gets a B plus. How about that?
B plus. 89. 89.
If LeBron James is a 96 in NBA 2K, there's no way Brad Stevens is getting above that. So forget about it. He's like an 89. Perfect.
All right. So that's just a little thing to keep in mind. We will have as the NBA season gets closer, and more of this stuff. It's changing. I mean, in the past 2 weeks now, we've had the Marcus Smart extension happen live on air, and then all these other moves. Wouldn't be shocked to see it was right around this time. Gosh, 4 years ago when Isaiah Thomas got traded for Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. Just on a random August night, like 6:00, I'm at dinner. Ding! Celtics have traded Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and Ante Zizic, along with draft picks, to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Kyrie Irving. What? So there still could be.
Time.
Hey,
did not pan out, but
Christian. Now I don't want to see this happen, but Marcus Smart and Time Lord and maybe Richardson now and some picks for Damian Lillard. Would that be the kind of flashy move you want to see? Or are you
mum on Damian Lillard? I feel like Beal for me is the guy.
Okay.
I think Lillard's a good player. I don't know if I'd trade. What is that? He's another guy that takes the ball and shoots. So I feel like they need a little something different at the point guard position.
Okay. I got to keep checking you on that.
If you're going Bradley Beal, I would have said yes.
Okay. Well, that's the obvious one. How you feeling about the Boston Red Sox, who are a game and a half above the Oakland A's for the wild card?
Not fantastic. I still feel like Anthony Rizzo was the guy to come here, and they would have been fine. But now they're in a position where their bullpen is kind of like sucking, half and half. It's like 50-50 now, and their rotation is still not great. So I don't know where they'll be. I don't even know if they're losing tonight, of course. But yeah, their rotation is still not great. That's not going to be fixed. And then I didn't like the moves of the deadline, and since then, obviously, we see how it happened. But the Yankees are rolling, and the A's can definitely catch the Red Sox at this stage. I mean, I don't know.
They've become Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Hey, we're gonna win one night, and then we're gonna get blown out the next. It's when you can't put
lead in the ninth, or
when you can't when it's something different every night. You're a bad team. And they went from being a team that was overachieving, and I think they were doing that through sheer will, to now they're just kind of, all right, well, September's coming, boys, and let's just get ready for next year.
They ran into a Heim Bloom wall.
Yeah.
Because he should have made moves at the deadline.
Look at what happened with San Francisco. Best record in the league. What happened
with the Yankees? The Yankees should have been out of it. I mean, really, they were out of it earlier in the year. And now all of a sudden they're, I don't know. I haven't checked their last 10, but they were like 16-4 since Rizzo came over. So, they're probably.
You want to know what their last 10 is?
10-0.
10-0, baby. Yeah.
So they've barely lost any game since the deadline, and I wonder if teams had already known, okay, if the Red Sox don't do anything, we can easily take a spot from them.
I guess. I think this is. Again, I don't know how to grade it because for me, I was never on board with them this year. I didn't expect. I said, I think their record is fool's gold. I don't see a team that's gonna like make a deep playoff run because I think it's flawed with the pitching staff. Um, but hey, they just kept. There was a point a month ago, a little over a month. They just keep finding ways to win games. You know what? They're starting to show that little something, right? Not the midway point, past the midway point. They're showing a little something. I don't know. The 2011 collapse is like epic. Like it's August and you blow the entire
Yeah.
a huge lead at the end, and then of course, losing it the way they lose in that final game to Tampa Bay. A little screwed up blooper down the left field. Like that's an all timer. I don't know what's worse though, like that, like just slowly, painfully losing it, and then but you're at least like on the last day, you still just could have won, and been in, or this where you're rolling, you have opportunity, and you just say, "Go right ahead." No, never mind, and the whole team falls apart. I mean, it's
Yeah.
I don't
maybe
know
they weren't as
I don't know what's
resilient.
worse. Nobody's going to look at it and see like, oh, that was the year the Red Sox collapsed, because there's obviously been so much time. There would have been a lot of time between the trade deadline and the end of the year. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this one's almost worse because it's like it feels like a give up. I know they're not saying that. Nobody's saying that in that room, but it feels like a give up. It feels more like okay, this is just a bridge year now. We don't care.
Yeah, they definitely had their mojo stomped on a bit, which maybe they're not as resilient as we thought. But also, like, I feel like you make a move at the deadline, like, Rizzo's coming in. That fixes our problem at first base, both offense and defense. Sale is coming back. That's a much different look than hurt Kyle Schwarber, a guy named Hansel Robles, who absolutely blows.
Robles?
It just didn't have that feel to it. So you tell me, okay, Rizzo and then Sale's coming back, who's looked pretty good. Now you're game, and now you can kind of run forward. Instead, they kind of got pushed back, and maybe that's a testament to the team itself. I don't know, but overall, I still think they should have made a better move than what they did at the deadline.
Yeah, I think because, like we said, every team is different every year. I definitely think this year's team would have been, obviously every team benefits from making a move, like improving your team. I think this team definitely needed it. I don't know whether you can say not making the move and the way they've played proves that you shouldn't have made the move. That's one of those unanswerable questions, self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing. But looking back on it, hindsight,
Yeah, not very good.
not good.
Couldn't see in front of them.
Should have made the move. Yeah. What are you gonna do? You know what makes this worse? What are you gonna do, Red Sox fans, when the Yankees win the World Series?
All because of the deadline. I mean, what's their record since the deadline?
And like Rizzo's MVP of the World Series.
I think the Yankees are the best team in baseball since the trade deadline.
Have to be. They're almost 20 games above 500 now. I mean,
Yeah,
after
it's
being.
insane.
Oh no, they are 20 games. Sorry, they're 21 games above 500.
The Yankees were 54-48 at the
Holy
trade deadline.
cow! They've
And
won
since
19
Yeah,
to 4.
there you go.
And that's not just like, that's more than, hey, they're on a 5-game winning streak. It's like you played the Orioles and then you played another suckbag team. Like, whoopee.
Yeah, no.
You've played enough people now. 23 games? That's not a fluke. 19-4 is not a fluke.
Nope.
And they've played good teams. Well,
They
maybe not.
kicked the crap
Maybe
out of
not.
you.
Maybe not the Red Sox, but
Yeah, maybe not. We're finding that out day by day.
goodness. So how many games are left? Right? I mean, do the math. I don't know how many games are left.
Not many. About
in the-
40
in the
ish.
season.
give or take.
Yeah, it doesn't say on this schedule, but I don't know. It's just a slow decline.
Between 35 and 40 games left, and they're,
It's not a crash
just hanging
landing,
on. Just
like
hanging on.
like from dropping the feather and the bowling ball, right? The bowling
Yeah.
ball is the crash. This Red Sox season is just a feather. It's just dropping a sock. You drop a sock out of skyscraper, it's just going to kind of twirl in the wind and slowly fall down.
I think a feather's a better analogy.
Yeah, you drop a red sock off the Prudential Center.
There you go. You tell me you're dropping a red sock. Maybe that makes more sense. Just a regular sock. I don't know what you're doing up there.
What kind of weirdo? What's that guy doing? Ah! Oh, goodness. So, anywho's, that was a little MLB note. Honestly, kind of a slow week. I mean, I think it's just the doldrums of everybody's just waiting for NFL games to actually start. Obviously, there's nothing going on in the other leagues. No real big news. Honestly, I think the only compelling story is this trade deadline stuff from the MLB because it's just playing out. Like, it's just so glaring. The teams that did things, it's working, and the Red Sox are just now an example of, oh boy, cautionary tale.
Not only did they get a guy that was hurt, but he didn't really fit on the team. So instead of getting a guy that plays first base and they got an outfielder or a DH when you have JD Martinez, who's not great at fielding, and a DH. Whatever. Here we are.
Quick question for you, Christian. Patriots' final preseason game is Sunday. We'll be back on Monday to talk about it. Who's the starting quarterback in that game versus the New York Football Giants?
Cam Newton.
Yeah. I think so, too. Just, you would think you have all the outs now, Belichick. You could play Mac and nobody would.
He loves Cam Newton.
Don't you normally keep your starter in a bubble that game anyways? Like, why would you want, unless he's hoping. Maybe he's like, they're going to run Cam on quarterback runs. Please, some, fourth string linebacker is trying to make the team. Take him out.
Unless they had no plans of playing him ahead of this week. But I wouldn't buy that now because of all this stuff that's happened, right? So I think he's the starter for game 3. If he's not, and they say it was planned, I won't believe him.
Nope. Trust no one.
Yeah.
Believe nothing coming out of one Patriot place. Anyways, that is going to do it for the show. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Obviously, not our normal time here on a Tuesday edition of the 360 Sports Show, but we will be live every Monday starting at 7:30 p.m. throughout the fall. So make sure you set your clock, set your alarms to the new time. Used to be on Sundays, now will be on Mondays. Thank you to everyone who joined in through the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. And for our podcast listeners, thank you for finding us there on Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you haven't yet, the 360 Sports Show has made its debut on TikTok, baby. So if you want to see some videos of Christian dancing, head over to 360 Sports Show on TikTok.
And we know everybody wants to see that. So
that's all the premium content.
Yeah.
So anyways, that'll do it for the show, everybody. Thank you for joining. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you all on Monday.
See ya.